Welcome to another edition of the Story Behind the Car, and we've got a beautiful car and a beautiful story. We're with John, and this is his 1967 Pontiac GTO. John, can you start to tell us about your car?
Well, I got this car. This was my first car I've ever bought. I inherited a 67 Le Mans at 16, and then I bought this car when I was 17 from the original owner. It was a special order from a man ordered for his wife for a wedding anniversary present. So he waited 6 weeks to get this car, and then when he went to pick this car up, it was completely stripped on the parking lot, completely gutted. So when I bought it, it had gold interior, and I didn't know it until I actually restored it, that the whole interior was 66. So it had gold interior, 66 seats, which didn't have the push buttons. It had 66 door panels. It had 66 mirror on it. So they completely gutted the whole interior except for the back seat.
Okay.
So this man was not a very happy man, so he made him take the interior out of a car that was on the parking lot, and it actually was a gold. So I never had known what it originally was, so I always knew it was a gold interior. So I bought this car, drove it through high school, got engaged, and then parked it. So I fostered 19 kids, and I've adopted 3. So a lot of my time went into them, So I finally got to the area where my dad had passed away, and me and him had gotten this engine completely restored and all running really good, and was going to get a little paint job done on it and drive it. Well, after he had passed away, I sort of lost interest in it, for a while, and we let it sit in the garage. It's, heated and cooled and been taken care of for a while, and my grandma and I became really close after she lost my dad and her brother in 6 months. So it was really hard time for her. So
yeah.
She needed me and I needed her. So moral of the story is, this is my granny goat. So Granny got me enthused to redo this car, and she was able to introduce me to somebody to try to do this work. So we agreed that after she passed away, I'd take 1/6 of my money and put it into this car and then go from there. So unfortunately, that didn't go out too good. So the man had it for about 3.5 years and did a little body work and did a little primer on it and gutted my car and had it in boxes and buckets and nothing labeled, and called me one day and said, "Hey, I think we're even. You need to come and get this car." And I'm thinking, what, like for storage, because you didn't do much.
Yeah.
So the moral of the story is, I was at a gas station, and a guy named Daryl Bundy standing there, and he goes, "Hey, you still got that GTO?" And I'm laughing at him, and I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Well, if you ever need anybody to restore it, I'm your man." And I go, "Yeah, I can't afford you." He goes, "Nope, I'm $35 an hour."
Wow.
I said, "Wow, that's going to be pretty tough." I go, "How many hours?" He goes, "You're probably looking about 1,000 hours." So it don't take hard to do the math,
Yeah.
So
can I open the door, John?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, Tom. So this car, the kids can get in it. I drive this car. So I drive it about every weekend. I drove it on the track. Had it down Bristol Motor Speedway, 95 miles an hour, hugging the turns on one, breaking it down, hitting 34 wide open, So I've had it at the track, ran a 1434 down the track with my son in the car. So it's a 400 HO, but the moral of the story is, it's a great car. So
yes. Now, is that shifter, is that the his and her? Is that what it was called, the his and her?
Yeah, so that's a his and her shifter. So that was an option. It was that either you had a 4-speed, So
yeah.
Some were 3 speeds. This car here, after Daryl actually took this thing and had found out that this is an original plum mist car. So this is a 1 of 47 as known of this color. And then he was telling me about the interior not matching. So the moral of the story is, we did a rotisserie job on this.
Okay.
Ended up putting the 67 interior in it. It's supposed to be parchment, which was a gold for me.
Yeah.
And it had, so after he did the frame off, on this car, everything is done exactly as it came from the factory. So when we took it down, there was markings on the frame. There was markings on the wheel wells. Anywhere they stopped at night, they put an extra line. And then we redocumented all that. Every motor mount, every body mount is color coded. the firewall. It has the completion date. It was completed on November 6, 1966, and it's got a completion date. They write that on your firewall before when they finish your car, and that's on there. So, but Daryl's like, you got to do this car right. So it ended up taking 15 months for Daryl to do this. This is a one-man, 30 hours a week for 15 months. And I'm not going to tell you what he charged me, but it was less than $35 an hour. But I gave him a really nice tip at the end of the deal because he did a fine job for me.
And you were saying this was
that's a factory cruise control, which is the only 67 known that I've known of, because I've had this car judged in many places, and every judge says it's the only 67 they've known of to have a factory cruise control, which I have the PHS. I don't have it on the car, unfortunately, but I do have it with its power steering, power brakes, factory air conditioning, cruise control, tilt.
It has tilt as well.
It has tilt as well, yes, sir. Yep.
And how many miles on it?
So it has 108,000 miles on this car.
108,000.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the unique thing about this is I ran some different wheels on this, and these are the original factory wire disc hubcaps, and those are very rare. So.
And you got bias ply as well.
Those are the bias ply, and I ran those tires down the track and at Bristol, and it's a running machine. It has the 400 HO, which is the same 360 horsepower as the Ram Air.
Okay.
So being an HO engine and the 400, it does real well. It gets out of the hole. It's got 355 rear ends in it. It runs real good. Gets great, decent gas mileage.
Yeah.
And
Can we see the engine?
One finger steer.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it just. I drove it here from Wentzville, which about 45 minutes from here. And I was born and raised in Ferguson, Missouri. My wife was born and raised here in Overland. This is my backyard from where we used to live. My first house was like a mile from here. So,
and can you raise the hood?
Memories.
Absolutely,
absolutely, Tom.
And I live in Lake St. Louis, so I'm right near you.
Well, you are.
Yeah.
So I've been there to take a few pictures there by the lake. So
okay.
And there's the cruise control that is actually vacuum done. So, and it's mounted on a special mount. And there's a man named Kelly Klein that specializes in cruise controls and GTOs and Chevys and many, and he confirmed that is absolutely factory done. So.
And factory AC as
and
well.
And factory air conditioning. And it runs great.
Now the gentleman that did the body work, did he also do the engine bay?
No, my father and I did all the engine.
Okay.
So me and my dad had that. It's bored 30 over. I'm running a little cam in it, but me and my dad did all the motor work. My buddy fine-tuned all the parts. After you get it judged once or twice, they tell you this is wrong and that's wrong and this is right and that's wrong, and then you fine-tune it. And again, as I got a silver medal, and they said, the only thing kills you is that you drive your car. You got a lot of wear on it, and the rubber and the belts and da-da-da. And I said, well, I'll never own a pusher car because I bought this thing to drive. I've had it, since I was a kid, and it's my little baby. So I call it my granny goat. It's got the plum hole, which is the plum mist with the high output. So, again, being an original owner, not the original owner, but as close as you can get, as I say.
Yeah. And can you start it up so we can hear it?
Oh, absolutely.
I'm going to go around to the back, John.
Absolutely.
It is just an amazing car.
Yep, so it's all been powder coated as original tire fact, the way it's mounted and all that. Everything's pretty well done to the T. I've had some friends help me, that some judges give me some pointers on what to do and what not to do, but I've taken it to nationals a few times, and
it idles down nicely too.
Well, it's got, so these things ran dual exhaust with resistors. So only the automatics ran resistors.
Okay.
So all the other ones would run them without it. So it gives it a extra spitting, and that's the dual exhaust. It's redone exactly like the factory. There's a company that redoes that. I can't think of the name of them right now.
Yeah.
But it was factory redone. So, but yeah, it just purrs and runs and smooth, and
Yeah,
And,
this engine is just smooth as silk.
Yeah. And I can tell you that I just ran this down the track about a month ago, and I was going to change the oil before I came, but I thought, you know, my first weekend I've had off in 6 weeks. I own my own company, and I own a farm about 2 hours from here, and me and my son are farmaholics.
Okay.
So we like dirt bikes and animals and hunting and fishing and all that good stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
Any other things that we should cover before we wrap things up, John?
well, just thanks for letting me talk to you guys. I hope you all are interested in GTOs. There's a Gateway GTO Club in St. Louis.
Yeah.
You're more than welcome to come by and see us. There's national conventions once a year, but we do a lot of fun stuff. But no, thanks for taking time and noticing my car. It means a lot to me. I mean, this is my baby. I've had it all my life, and being able to drive it puts my grandma with me, lets my dad with me. You know, it's a really sentimental thing. And I've had a few people ask to buy it from me, you know, and at this point in my life, you know, it's not for sale. But
Yeah.
you know, as my dad used to say, everything has a price. But you know, anyway, it's been great to me, and it's a great drive.
Yes.
Anybody
Well, thank you
looking
so
for
much, John.
Yep, I appreciate it, Tom.
Yeah, thank you
sir.
again.
All right.